Your students have mastered major and minor keys. Now what? Don't worry, most teachers forget about modes entirely until it's time to pull out low-Korean music for Halloween. So today I'm sharing 4 practical strategies to help your elementary and late elementary students explore modes as mood tools, not intimidating theory concepts. So here's what many teachers don't realize. You can introduce your students to pieces in many different modes, even at the early elementary and elementary level. But here's the key. As they transition to late elementary levels, that's when you start giving names to these modes and concepts. This way, they've already heard and they've played in different modes, so they can link what they've experienced to what they're now analyzing. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Rosemarie. I've been teaching for over 20 years and composing imaginative educational piano music for nearly as long here at Must Love Music. Begin with modes that feel familiar to your students. If they know major and minor, then, for example, Mixolydian is related to major and Dorian feels a little bit more minor-like. But here's the key. Those 2 modes, Mixolydian and Dorian, are modes that change only 1 note from their parent scale. Mixolydian lowers that 7th degree from the major, making it an easy conceptual bridge for your students. That single note change transforms the mood entirely. It creates sounds that range from hopeful anticipation to nostalgic warmth, while still feeling familiar to your students comfortable with major scales. Now, for more inspiration, your students can actually practice this concept in my videos specifically designed for them, where I show how to transpose Thunder on the Horizon from Mixolydian to major and back, and you can access it here. Modes expand your students' emotional vocabulary beyond happy and sad. Each mode creates distinctive feelings. Dorian can bring almost like a hopeful but melancholic sound. Mixolydian can sound optimistic and bright. Phrygian can add some drama and some mystery. Lydian often feels more dreamy, ethereal, and low-Korean typically creates tension and unease. Now, here's what makes this powerful in your teaching. Your students already respond emotionally to music before they understand the theory. So by naming these modes after your students experience the emotions, you're validating what they already hear and feel. And by the way, if they hear something different than, in Dorian, it's melancholy, or in low Korean mode that it seems tense, that's okay. Your students can discover that modes aren't rigid rules. They're flexible tools for expressing many different emotions. These piano mode teaching strategies work because they connect practical experience to theoretical understanding. It's a flexible teaching approach that supports diverse learners in your studio. Now, my newsletter shares more pedagogically sound strategies just like these, plus educationally designed sheet music that students love to play. Plus, as teachers, you even influence upcoming resources. So sign up for the best piano email ever. Link is in the description, or scan this QR code on screen. Lastly, your students don't need to understand mode construction immediately, right? Start with repertoire that actively uses less common modes, and then theory understanding will naturally develop over time. Here's a practical strategy that works beautifully. Use pieces that require only one hand. This helps your students focus on those modal characteristics, hearing how that lowered second in Phrygian creates drama, or how the raised fourth in Lydian adds some brightness, without the cognitive overload of trying to coordinate 2 hands simultaneously. And you can use this tip actually for any big jump in their understanding that you're going through. By the way, I've been using examples from this Singular Moments collection throughout this series. Not only are all pieces one-handed, with both right and left hand versions included, but 3 out of the 4 pieces are in less common modes like we've been talking about right now. By the way, the link is in the description. Once your students can identify these modal sounds by ear and describe the moods they create, then you can dive into the theoretical construction. Remember how Tangos at Dawn, it felt dramatic and mysterious? Well, that's because the Phrygian lowers the second degree, creating that distinctive flavor. You can say things like this where you're connecting the theory to the music that they've already experienced and loved. And by the way, keep it simple. It doesn't have to be, all the whole steps and half steps. It really can be. This is how it sounded, or this was the mood. This is why it created it. Now, what's your biggest challenge when introducing modes to your elementary or late elementary students? Let me know in the comments. This month, we've explored multisensory teaching ideas for everything from modes to rhythms and harmony. When you combine practical activities with the right music, your students build deep understanding while playing music they genuinely love. So ready to see your students' eyes light up when they discover what they've been playing? Book a Meet the Composer session. Thanks and happy teaching.